Anybody? Okay, a few of you, okay. How many of you are here because you want to learn how to communicate more effectively in a work environment? Okay. How many of you are here because you want to help your friend win a limited edition Sasquatch mug? That's all of us. Okay. That's the real reason, right? Well, my name is Katherine Klimitas, and I'm president of Celebration Counter Toastmasters. And I've been a member for almost, well, actually over 4 years now. I'm an artist and a graphic designer, and I work mainly from home. 5 years ago, at one of my art and jewelry open houses, I met Tina Gilliard, our current vice president of education and Toastmaster extraordinaire. Tina has been in Toastmasters for a very long time. And after meeting me and reading my book, Looking Up, she highly encouraged me to visit a Toastmasters meeting. I had heard of Toastmasters before, but I had very limited public speaking experience. She assured me that Toastmasters is for everyone and that having public speaking experience was certainly not a requirement of attending a meeting. I remember my first meeting like it was yesterday. Don, also one of our longtime members, gave a speech where he roasted New Orleans Sewage and Water Board. And as I was laughing through the whole thing, I couldn't help but compare his dry sense of humor with that of my dad's. And as the meeting went on, I became more and more comfortable, and I even answered a table topic question. 1 minute and 15 seconds, thank you very much. By the end of the meeting, I was ready to sign on the dotted line. Since I was a teenager, I've had multiple people tell me that I should get into public speaking because I have such a unique story. I was born with a genetic bone disease called osteogenesis imperfecta, and it causes my bones to break easily and grow abnormally. So for all of you in Zoom land, which is all of you, I am only 2'7" in height, and I get around with the help of an electric wheelchair. I need help accomplishing almost all of my normal daily activities, and I have an aide with me pretty much 24/7. Growing up, I attended mainstream schools, but as you can imagine, I couldn't always take part in everything my able-bodied friends could. I was smart and I was bored, and I was driving my parents absolutely bonkers. My mother was constantly trying to find activities that I could do that would keep me busy, and she struck gold when she gave me my first watercolor set when I was 5 years old. It turned out that not only did I love painting, I was actually pretty good at it. Shortly thereafter, my parents made sure that I was getting art in school. I attended every art summer camp within a 30-mile radius. And in high school, I even got to take private lessons on the weekends from a college professor. It wasn't long before I had a regular stream of pet portrait commissions from my parents' veterinary clients. I was working as a teenager, and I soon realized that art was going to be a constant in my life, and it would play a huge role in my career as well. I graduated from Loyola University with a BA in graphic design in 2011, and shortly thereafter, I began my own business, Tack Art and Designs, which I operate from home. However, those of you that know me know that I am a very social person. So living at home and working at home became pretty boring. I needed to find activities, even just once or twice a week, that I could do outside of my home to fill that social void that was forming. When Tina encouraged me to attend a Toastmasters meeting, I thought to myself, well, this sounds interesting. And people keep telling me that I need to start speaking professionally. Besides, it's 5 minutes from my house, and it gets me out once a week. Why not? Obviously, this was pre-COVID, when we were meeting in person. So it worked out. And I'm so glad I went to that first meeting. When I tell people I'm a Toastmaster, people usually say something like, oh, I've heard of that. Do you like it? Does it actually teach you anything? Yes, and yes. In my personal opinion, there are three key aspects of Toastmasters that makes the program successful. First, everyone is supportive in Toastmasters. You know how they say not everyone can be a winner? Well, in Toastmasters, that's not true. We want everyone to win and meet their own personal goals. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience, always. We like to see our members succeed, and we are more than happy to do what we can to make that happen. The second aspect of Toastmasters that I think makes the program successful is Pathways. Pathways, in short, is a curriculum tailored to the individual Toastmaster's personal goal. For example, if a member wants to learn more about leading a team, there's a path for that. If someone feels like their presentations at work need some help being impactful, there's a path for that. And if someone knows that they're good at being funny, but they just aren't sure how to use their innate humor appropriately or effectively, there's a path for that too. And that path is the one I just finished. Like all paths and pathways, the engaging humor path begins with an icebreaker speech, a quick 4 to 6 minutes where the speaker creatively introduces themselves to the rest of the group. Because this was not my first icebreaker, I decided to talk about what I wanted to be when I grew up, a killer whale trader, versus what I became, an artist. Surely you can find the humor in that, right? As I continued down the path, I tapped into many personal stories to teach the group a little more about me with each speech I gave. In level 2, my speech, Lessons in Wheelchair Etiquette, I talked about how able-bodied people should interact with someone in a wheelchair. Hint, you should not A, lean on their wheelchair, B, attempt to drive their wheelchair, or C, treat them as if they can't do anything for themselves. Trust me, I've had some pretty funny interactions with complete strangers. For the informative, research-based speech that I had to give, I talked about some of the latest advancements in wheelchair technology. Lucy. Lucy is basically a radar system, like the one you have in your car. You know, it's what helps you not run into things or up on curbs, but it's made for wheelchairs. Let me tell you, I have definitely had moments where I needed Lucy. And unfortunately, not all of those stories are funny. Throughout the rest of the path, I shared funny stories about my life growing up and how it was always a little different than those of my friends, but also very much the same. I talked about how my cousins and I played our version of hide and seek, landing me in an underwear drawer for over an hour. I talked about some of the gut reactions strangers have when they first interact with me. And man, the things people say. Oh, look at that cute baby. It drives itself. Isn't she just precious? Ugh, obnoxious. I talked about my unique perspective and how it has had an effect on my upbringing, my career, and my daily life. With a little bit of audience participation, I even demonstrated what it is like to draw an object while lying on your side, like I do, versus sitting straight up and down. I learned about the importance of impromptu speaking and how convenient it is to have a few personal stories rehearsed and ready to tell when someone asks you about your life in public on the fly. I talked about what it's like having OI, and I learned how to manage a question and answer session from a very overly curious audience. I even got to tell one of my favorite stories about meeting and eventually working for Rod Stewart, one of the most stressful, incredible, and rewarding experiences of my entire life. My engaging humor path culminated at Loyola University, New Orleans, where I was asked to speak to the design students about my life as a graphic designer and how I combined my graphic design career and my art. I told stories about my time at Loyola and how I went through many of the same trials and tribulations that they are going through now. I taught them about the value of a Loyola education and how it prepared me for the real world. After all, it's not like life gets easier once you get out of college and you have to work for real clients and real money. After each of the speeches I gave in the engaging humor path, I was then evaluated by one of my fellow Toastmasters. Remember, Toastmasters strives to provide greater self-confidence and personal growth. And that's exactly what happens during the evaluation portion of the meeting, which you're going to see shortly. The third and perhaps most important part of the Toastmasters program is the individual speech evaluations. Evaluators are asked to first recognize what the speaker did well. Did they connect with the audience? Did they fulfill the purpose of the speech? In my case, was I funny? Then evaluators state what the speakers could work on. Maybe I needed to pause more for effect after asking my audience a question to think about. Maybe I needed to embellish less in some places, but more in another. Maybe my story didn't really align with the purpose of the speech I gave. And then the evaluator gives the speaker suggestions on how to challenge themselves, perhaps adding a visual aid to their speech or slowing down entirely. Or maybe they need to use more personal stories to open up and to get their point across. Or maybe, remember, when you're on Zoom, you need to look at the camera dot and not the screen below. I know some of you are thinking, ooh, that sounds scary. I don't want to be called out on what I did wrong. But the thing is, it's not wrong in Toastmasters. It just requires a willingness to push for self-improvement. We are always trying to lift members up, and the evaluations do just that. Toastmasters has not only brought me public speaking opportunities, but I've also learned new skills in handling my clients, my colleagues, and my employees. The Toastmasters projects and pathways have helped me become more confident leading a team, spearheading a big project, and thinking about my words before they actually leave my mouth, which is key. I've learned how to better read people through their body language and vocal tone, and how to better handle difficult situations with family, friends, and employees. So for those of you that came today thinking Toastmasters is only for people who aspire to become professional public speakers, I'm here to tell you that's incorrect. Through speech assignments and constructive, positive evaluations, you can begin your path towards professional public speaking, but you can also learn skills to help you manage your current personal and professional relationships. Toastmasters can help you better communicate with your spouse, get that promotion you've been angling for, and hone your time management skills. Toastmasters really is for everyone, and we hope that you choose to join us at Celebration Kenner. Thank you. Back to you, Tina.